The electric vehicle industry is all set to get a breather, with the deadline for new safety measures likely to be extended beyond the 1st of October. As Business Today TV reported yesterday, the EV industry, particularly battery manufacturers, have said that they are not ready to comply with new safety rules by the October deadline. They have cited various reasons for this. To get a clearer picture, my colleague spoke to Sulajja Firodia Motwani, the CEO of Kinetic Green Energy, who also heads the EV committee of the Indian Federation of Green Energy.
What is really the problem? As you're anticipating, you have been outrightly speaking about the norms that are yet to be implemented by the government and, of course, by the EV players. Is it really difficult to implement it in 1 month as the government has proposed?
Yeah, so first of all, very happy to be on your show. Thank you for inviting me. The new norms, which have come in the form of amendment to AIS 156 Revision 2, are basically norms for enhancing the safety of the electric vehicle battery packs that the MoRTH has envisaged. And I think at the outset, I must say that the EV industry, completely welcomes higher safety norms for electric vehicle batteries, because I believe that if the batteries are more safe, they have, better quality and better protection against any kind of mishaps. I think it will make India's electric EV story that much stronger and pave way for rapid electrification of India's vehicle sector. So certainly the industry welcomes tighter safety norms, and I think it's in the right direction. I think where there's a bit of a disconnect or what needs a little bit more discussion is, number one, the timelines, and number two, some of the areas that need clarification. So the changes proposed under the 156 Rev 2 are sweeping changes. They're very wide in nature, which will call for redesign, re-engineering, revalidation, and re-homologation of the battery packs. Furthermore, they'll call for acquisition of significant amount of capital equipment by the battery makers, which would take time for the equipment to be purchased and placed. And then further, the vehicles in which the batteries are going to be placed would also need some amount of redesign, because the packs will become larger, they'll become bulkier and heavier. Right. And then the vehicles would have to be retested, and then the vehicle and the battery also would have to be re-homologated. I think all this would require a lot of time and coordination between the battery makers, vehicle makers, testing agencies. And then I think if we look at the kind of time required, the kind of changes proposed, I think it would make sense for the industry to have a deeper consultation with MoRTH and discuss together what would be the right timelines, what are some of the areas that need clarification, so that we have a smooth implementation of these proposed norms. So I think some amount of time is required for it to become, something that becomes smooth and productive rather than something that becomes poorly implemented.
How much time do you think the industry or an electric vehicle manufacturer would take on an average? And that point of time really concerns me, because by the time the industry would be ready, it would be about 1.5 more years. And eventually we'll have more summers coming up and such incident might rise again. So can the industry do something that can probably expedite at their own end and probably have some measures implemented right now, and later on the later measures can be implemented?
So I think that is something that requires consultation between, larger group of stakeholders and the ministry. Few of the people that I have spoken to, and from our own experience, I feel that the whole standard can be broken into 2 phases. Phase 1 can be implemented by something like March 31st. And the battery maker should then submit their batteries by March 31st to the testing agencies, who should then be given about 3 months' time to certify and validate those batteries and the vehicles. And we can be in the market, with those batteries in the next few months accordingly. Some of the standards need some amount of discussion, clarification, and perhaps, they need some kind of tweaking, or they might go into phase 2 because they're really difficult to implement, like the cell level RFID, or something like 5 levels of charge and discharge cycle for every cell, which would be quite impractical, especially when you're in a mass manufacturing kind of a situation. So these, I think, you need some clarification. But I think something like a consultation followed by a timeline setting, which is realistic, and taking everybody's opinion would lead to the right solution, is my opinion.
If you like the video, do like, comment, share and subscribe.